Work comes first, vacations can wait, my dad said, just as my boss called me in for an urgent task. Hours later, my parents boarded a first-class flight to Bora Bora with my ticket. I let them enjoy their luxury, but when they came back, their paradise was over. I should have seen it coming. I really should have, but I trusted them. I actually believed my parents when they said, "Work comes first, vacations can wait." I thought they were looking out for me, that they respected how dedicated I was to my career. I was so wrong. Meet the fool me. Hey, I'm Alex, 30 years old, and I work as a lead mechanic in my uncle's auto repair shop. Not a huge chain, not some corporate empire, just a solid family-run business that services everything from pickup trucks to SUVs. I've been working here for the last 8 years, not because I had no other options. Hell, I had plenty, but because my dad convinced me to join. Family takes care of each other, son. One day this shop could be yours. That was the bait, and I took it. And guess what? I was good at my job. I brought in big commercial clients, streamlined operations, and increased profits by nearly 40% over the past 3 years. But my personal life? That was a joke. The dream vacation that wasn't mine to take. For years I put my job above everything. I worked late nights, took emergency calls on weekends, and always said, maybe next year, when my wife Lauren suggested taking a break. Then this year, I finally said no to work and yes to us. We booked a trip to Bora Bora, a dream we had since our wedding. Luxury over water bungalows, private beach dinners, snorkeling with sea turtles, the whole deal. And to make it extra special, I surprised Lauren with first-class tickets. I was finally putting us first. I was finally going to relax. Yeah, about that. A flashback to the family bank. Looking back, I should have known better. My parents had a long history of using my money instead of their own. It was always something. Alex, can you cover the new tires? Money's tight this month. Hey, we're heading to Florida. Mind booking the flights on your card? We'll pay you back. They never did. Gas is crazy expensive. Can we use your Shell rewards points? Even their last car? I made the down payment. We'll take over the monthly payments, don't worry, my dad had said. Guess who's still paying for it? The call that changed everything. The day before our flight, I was closing up the shop, making sure everything was set for my time off when my uncle called me into his office. Alex, I need to talk to you. It's important. I followed him in expecting some last-minute part order issue, but his face was serious. Look, I hate to do this to you, but we have a major problem. The county fleet contract? They're reconsidering. If we don't fix this, we could lose the account. My stomach dropped. The county fleet was our biggest contract. Emergency vehicles, sheriff's department trucks, even school buses. I already talked to your dad. He agrees. We can't afford to mess this up. I frowned. I trained Joe to handle the fleet while I'm away. My uncle sighed. Alex, let's be real. Joe's great with brake jobs, but he doesn't have your reputation. If you're not here, they might take their business elsewhere. I hesitated. He wasn't wrong. I was the one who built that contract from the ground up. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't urgent, he added. Family first, right? And that was it. I called Lauren, feeling like the worst husband on the planet. Lauren, I can't go. Silence. Then, are you serious? Alex, we planned this for months. I know, but my uncle just told me. Oh, of course, your uncle told you. And you just agreed? Just like that. I had no excuse. Do whatever you think is best, Alex. She hung up. No yelling, no anger, just disappointment. That was worse. The betrayal and the text that broke me. That night, I was still at the shop, elbow deep in an engine when my phone buzzed. It was my mom. Oh, sweetheart, I just heard the news. You're not going on your trip. I froze. I hadn't told my parents yet. Yeah? How did you know? Oh, your uncle mentioned it when he and your dad were talking. Such a shame. Honey, I know how much you were looking forward to it. Something in her tone made my stomach twist. It wasn't sympathy. It was expectation. Yeah. Well, nothing I can do about it now. There was a small pause before she spoke again, carefully casual. Well, since everything is already paid for, maybe your father and I could use the tickets instead? So nothing goes to waste. I blinked. Wait, you want to take our trip? Oh, honey, don't think of it that way. Just think. This way, at least someone gets to enjoy it. It'd be such a shame to let those beautiful beach bungalows sit empty. I hesitated. They were way too quick to jump on the idea. And how did my uncle already tell them? But then, as always, guilt crept in. Mom sighed dramatically. We just hate to see you lose all that money. But of course, if it makes you uncomfortable, forget I said anything. And that did it. Mom knew exactly which buttons to push. I hated wasting money, and she played that card flawlessly. I exhaled. No, you're right, it'd be a waste. Oh, sweetheart, you're so thoughtful. I'll come by later to pick everything up. Okay. Before I could even process what I just agreed to, she hung up. And just like that, our dream honeymoon became their vacation. The next evening, I handed them the tickets and hotel confirmations. "You're such a good son, Alex," my dad said, grinning as he patted me on the back. Mom kissed my cheek. "We'll send you lots of pictures." I smiled weakly, but inside something felt wrong. That feeling only got worse a few hours later when my phone buzzed again. A photo from my mom, my parents sitting in first class on my flight. "We're off to paradise. Shame work got in the way for you. But you know what they say, work comes first." I felt like someone punched me in the stomach. They were on my vacation. I won't lie, I felt weird about it. After I handed my parents the first class tickets, the resort booking, everything, I told myself I was doing the right thing. At least someone gets to enjoy the trip, right? That's what I repeated in my head as I watched them drive off, waving happily from my dad's SUV. Lauren didn't say much. She just gave me a long, tired look before walking upstairs. It stung a little, sure, but I had made the choice. I gave them the tickets. So I just sighed, put my phone down and got back to work. For the next few days I buried myself in the shop. I worked long shifts, handled the county fleet issue, kept my head down. Every so often, I'd get another text from my mom, pictures of clear blue water, fancy dinners, spa treatments. "You would love it here, sweetheart, maybe next time." I tried not to think about it. Then 4 days into their trip I got a text from Elise, my secretary. "Hey, can we talk?" "Elise, hey, can you stop by my desk when you have a minute? It's kinda important." I frowned. Elise was efficient, professional, and never dramatic. If she said something was important, she meant it. I walked over, wiping my hands on a rag. "What's up?" She looked around, then lowered her voice. "Alex, I need to tell you something. It's about your parents and your trip." My stomach immediately tightened. "What about it?" Elise hesitated, then sighed. "Look, I wasn't going to say anything, but Lauren is my friend. And I knew if I told her she'd get really upset. So I thought it would be better to tell you first." Now I was really paying attention. "Elise, just tell me." She took out her phone. "Last week I overheard a conversation between your dad and your uncle. I'd recorded it. I wasn't sure if I should, but something felt off." Then she pressed play. "The recording that changed everything. Mom, honestly, it was almost too easy. He really believes he's too important to leave work. Dad told you, just get his uncle to say something about a big client and he crumbles. Mom, I almost feel bad. But, I mean, he works so much. It's not like he would have enjoyed the trip anyway." "Dad, exactly. And now we get to use the first-class lounge while he's covered in grease at the shop. Win-win." Then they laughed. A slow, smug, satisfied laugh. My whole body went cold. I had been set up. They never cared about the client. They just wanted my vacation, and they knew exactly how to manipulate me into handing it over. "I almost feel bad," my mom had said. Almost. I felt a rush of emotions all at once. Shock, disbelief, then pure, white-hot anger. They thought they had one. They thought I'd never find out. They thought I'd just keep working and funding their lifestyle forever. They were wrong. So very, very wrong. The moment it became personal. "Alex." Elise's voice pulled me out of my trance. I looked at her, still gripping the phone. "Send me that recording." She nodded and hit send. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. "You were right to tell me," I said. "Thank you." She looked relieved. "What are you gonna do?" I exhaled slowly. "I'm gonna make sure they never forget this trip." And I meant it. They wanted paradise? I was about to turn it into hell. The first call. 4 days into their vacation, I got the first call. "Mom." I glanced at the screen. I wasn't ready to talk to her yet, but curiosity got the best of me, and I picked up. "Alex, sweetheart? How are you?" How was I? I clenched my jaw. She didn't even sound guilty. "I'm fine," I muttered. "Oh, that's so good to hear. You know, this place is absolutely magical. The water, the views. I just had the most amazing massage." "Oh, Alex, you would have loved it." But unfortunately, work comes first, right? And that's when I realized they had no idea that I knew the truth. For a split second, I wanted to scream at her, throw the recording in her face and tell her exactly what I thought. But I stopped myself. I wasn't going to act impulsively. I was going to act strategically. "Yeah, Mom. Work comes first," I said in a calm voice. "By the way, how's everything going?" "Everything okay?" "Oh, everything is perfect. Just one little issue." I raised an eyebrow. "I've been doing some shopping, and your card, well, it stopped working." Maybe the bank flagged something. My grip on the phone tightened. "Oh, really?" "Yeah. Your dad and I were thinking, maybe you could send us some money directly? Just a couple thousand? You wouldn't want us to struggle out here, right?" That was it. They didn't just steal my vacation. They still expected me to keep paying for it. The rage that changed everything. I hung up without another word. My lungs felt too small for my chest. I sat in my chair staring at my phone. I had the recording of their scheme. I knew exactly what they did. And now they wanted me to keep funding their luxury vacation? No, that ends now. I opened my banking app and froze my credit card. Any pending transactions? Cancelled. Next stop? The hotel. I called the front desk, introduced myself and calmly explained. My parents requested to change their accommodations. Please downgrade them to the standard room without any extra services. No private beach access? The receptionist clarified. No private beach access. No complimentary drinks. No complimentary drinks. And no VIP spa treatments? Absolutely none. In just a few minutes, their luxury dream turned into a basic, no-frills stay. The second call and the breakdown. Barely an hour later, my phone rang again. Dad, this time I picked up. Alex, what did you do? I don't know what you mean. The hotel said your card isn't working anymore, and they moved us to some tiny room without beach access. I took a deep breath and replied calmly. Sounds like a problem. You'll have to figure out yourself. Silence. Then Mom's voice screeched in the background. You can't do this to us, we're your parents. I leaned back in my chair and smiled. Right? And real family would never do what you did. And then, I hung up. The moment of power. For the first time in my life, I felt zero guilt. I was no longer the naive son who let them walk all over me. I was in control now. And this was just the beginning. They thought they'd come home, pretend this was just a little mishap and move on like nothing happened. But no. When they returned, I would be waiting, and they would finally face the real consequences of what they did. The flight home from hell. I didn't hear from my parents again for a while after our last conversation, but I knew what was happening. They had gone from luxury first-class travelers to broke tourists scrambling to survive in an expensive resort with no money, no perks, and no way out. And it was all their fault, but the real show is yet to come. The night before their flight home, I got a text from my dad. Dad, we need to talk when we get back. No apology. No acknowledgement of what they did, just a demand. I smirked and left him on read. The homecoming. The next evening, I sat in my living room, waiting. I heard the car pull into the driveway. Then the front door slammed open. My parents stormed in, red-faced, exhausted and furious. Mom went first. How could you do this to us? She screeched, throwing her suitcase onto the floor. Dad was shaking his head, barely containing his rage. You embarrassed us. You made us look like fools. I took a sip of my coffee and leaned back on the couch. Oh, I said, pretending to be confused. What happened? I thought you were having a great time. Mom's jaw dropped. You know what happened. We had to pay for everything ourselves. We got kicked out of the spa. Our room was like a motel, and we had to sit in the back of the plane like common people. I raised an eyebrow. Sounds like a problem you should take up with whoever booked the trip for you. Silence. They exchanged a look. Dad stepped forward, trying to regain control. All right, enough, he said. We all just need to calm down and move on from this. Let's put this behind us and focus on what matters. Family. I laughed. Actually laughed. Oh, now family matters? After you lied to me? After you set me up so you could steal my vacation? Mom scoffed. Oh, come on, Alex, you're being dramatic. It was just a little rearrangement. And besides, you're doing fine. You didn't need that trip as much as we did. I put down my coffee and stood up. You're right. I didn't need the trip, but I deserved it. And you took it from me. And worse, you laughed about it. Mom's face paled. Dad's eyes narrowed. What are you talking about? He asked. I pulled out my phone. Oh, I don't know, I said, pressing play on the recording. And then their own voices filled the room. The moment of truth. He really believes he's too important to leave work. Just get his uncle to say something about a big client, and he crumbles. Now we get to use the first-class lounge while he's covered in grease. The color drained from my mom's face. That jaw clenched. I let the recording play all the way through. Then I locked my phone and crossed my arms. So, I said, still just a little rearrangement? Mom opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out. Dad gritted his teeth. You had no right to record that conversation. I let out a short, humorless laugh. You had no right to manipulate me into giving you my vacation. Silence. They had nothing. For the first time in my life, I watched my parents stand in front of me with no excuses, no defenses, no backup plan. And it felt amazing. The final blow. I walked over to the coffee table and picked up a fat folder of papers I had prepared. You know what this is? I asked. They looked at it warily. This is every single bill, payment, loan, and favor I have ever covered for you. Every forgotten wallet, every unexpected expense, every help us out son. I threw it onto the table. It ends today. Mom gasped. You don't mean that? Oh, I do, I said. You're on your own now. No more free money, no more bailing you out. No more paying for your luxuries. Dad took a step forward. Now, Alex, let's not be hasty. I held up a hand. I'm not done. He froze. From now on you pay your own bills. You book your own vacations. And if you ever try to pull something like this again, you will never see me or Lauren again." Mom looked like she wanted to cry. "But we're your parents," she whispered. "Yeah," I said. "And parents are supposed to love and support their kids, not use them." I walked to the door and opened it wide. "You should go." Dad's face turned red. "You can't just kick us out. You kicked yourselves out the moment you decided to screw me over." Mom let out a tiny sob. But I felt nothing. For years they had taken from me, used me, lied to me. No, they had nothing left to take, and I had never felt more free. Epilogue: The Aftermath. A month later, Lauren and I finally took our trip to Bora Bora. This time, no guilt, no manipulations, just pure uninterrupted happiness. One night as we sat on the beach watching the sunset, Lauren leaned against me. "You did the right thing, you know," she said. I took a deep breath, staring at the horizon. "Yeah," I said. "And I'll never let them take advantage of me again." Then, with a satisfied smirk, I pulled out my phone and blocked both my parents. Best decision ever. Final update. When I posted my story, I expected a few comments, maybe some advice or shared experiences. What I didn't expect was a full-blown Reddit debate about whether I was a genius, a villain, or just a guy who finally had enough. A lot of people thought my revenge was perfectly executed, calling it one of the most satisfying stories they had read. They loved how I methodically stripped away my parents' luxuries, how I let them dig their own graves, and how I finally cut them off for good. Many said they had been in similar situations, being the financial backbone of their families while their parents' guilt tripped them into endless sacrifices. Some even admitted that my story gave them the courage to finally set boundaries. That meant a lot to me. Of course, there were also critics. Some thought I went too far, saying that family is family, and I should have at least given my parents a chance to apologize. A few even called me cruel for cutting them off financially so suddenly. To those people, I'll say this: they had every opportunity to make things right. They chose to lie, manipulate, and steal from me. They laughed about it, and when they got caught, they weren't sorry. They were just mad. They got punished for it. And then there were the comments about my uncle. People asked why I let him off so easily since he helped set me up. The truth is I didn't. I quit. I didn't even give a 2-week notice. I took my skills elsewhere, and within a week I was working for a competitor who actually valued me. But the best part, since blocking my parents, I feel lighter, happier, more in control of my life. Lauren and I finally got our dream honeymoon without guilt, without manipulation, just pure happiness. So to answer the biggest question I saw, do you regret what you did? Not for a second.
After listening to today's story, perhaps it has raised some new questions in your mind, or maybe it has brought back some old memories. Every day on Reddit, new experiences and moments create fresh stories, and they connect all of us. Everyone has their own unique journey in life, and we all try to understand the world in our own way. These kinds of moments remind us that we are all human, sometimes happy, sometimes sad, and always learning something new. If you enjoyed this story, feel free to share it with your friends. Your thoughts and feedback are always valuable to us, as they motivate us to create even better content. Every story has its own unique angle, and our goal is to understand everyone's perspective and make our content diverse and relatable. Stories like these help us realize that life's journey is different for everyone, and by hearing other stories, we learn something new. You can also share your own stories with us. Your experiences are valuable to us as well, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave your feedback. We aim to create content that brightens your mind and gives you new ideas every time. If you've already seen this video before, your feedback is still important. With every piece of feedback, we can improve our content and bring a new perspective to our viewers. Today, what we saw was just a small part of the many stories shared on Reddit and across the world. It's a reminder of how we all try to understand life by sharing our experiences with each other. This video was only an example of how we try to connect with others through storytelling, learning about different sides of life. We hope to continue sharing such stories that help us all learn and grow together. Thank you for your time, and don't forget to keep an eye out for more stories coming soon. If you haven't already, please like and follow for more amazing content. Your support keeps us going, and we will strive to bring you more thought-provoking and heartwarming stories. Until next time, take care and stay curious. *.